Hello there, lowly traveler. No, but hello. Welcome to my guide to Monster Hunter Frontier. First things first, open the game, make a character, and then go to your options menu. Preferably you want to turn the volume and the sound effect volume down to the minimum or off. But it doesn't matter. Do whatever. First things first, go to key settings. See the fact that it has a gamepad thing? Go to this, change it to portable type. You want to change that to portable type. Especially if you have played some of the newer games, if you're used to the way that Monster Hunter 1 plays, you could technically make an argument. But it's not recommended for this game in the slightest. In fact, this is my, fourth, fifth, sixth account, maybe? I want to say, my sixth account, and I always switch it to portable type. Always do that. This is basically the one where you look with one stick, you move with one stick, but you attack with the buttons. Now change this to whatever you have. And for Xbox players, Y is triangle, X is A, square is X, and circle is B. So just look at where the buttons are over there. There's a few bugs here and there, but you can go into the Rain server, which is what the server that we're going to be using today is, and then you can see who can, fix that. All of this in one menu. And if your analog stick is also having a problem, check it here. I want to note that B or circle is confirmation and X is the cancel button in this game, due to it being a Japanese game and the different ways that people use, stuff. So you start the game. I will also note that I am a seasoned player, so I already have multiple accounts. But yeah. First thing is first. Start into the game. Choose your weapon and what your character looks like. Good. Doing good. After that, I'm going to introduce you to some mechanics. These mechanics can go from, holy shit, how did they think of this, to what the fuck is happening? So, if you have any more questions, just ask them. I am currently on my HR5 account, but we won't be doing any hunting today, and this is what some of your stuff could look like later. I want to talk about the skill system first, because the skill system, given a thing that you're not going to have to worry about until, given HR, 4, maybe? Basically, for HR 1 and 2, just find a set that you think looks cool, and then make it. But for HR 3 and 4, let me explain how the skill systems work. So, let's say you want attack up large. And don't mind the blue stuff, don't mind that at all. That is later on in the game. But this is only a tutorial for HR 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's say you want attack. Let's say you want attack up small. You see all these points? You would need at least 10 points for attack up small. Now you could get this rather from a set, or you could get this from a random decoration that you have on you. That's how much Frontier is. So, there you go. You basically know how the skill systems work. Also, first things first, go to your menu, check status, and then check your personal statuses. This is where everything is. This is what your HR is, what your Zenny is, how much stuff you've done, your most recent stuff, and also your armor and weapons and so on and so forth. If you look at all of this, you might be saying, wow, your set's kind of insane. Not really, it could be worse. But if you want to check how much you need for a specific skill, then you go up to it, press square, or you go over to this, press square slash, X, and then you start checking on how much something needs. Let's say I want poison resistance. I would need 10 poison, or paralysis. I would need 10 paralysis. Some of these will be kind of absurd. Don't worry about getting, like, critical eye +5 or attack up absolute. Don't worry about that at all. Like, especially in this tutorial. Do not worry about that stuff at all. But I just want to explain how the skill system works, even if it's not important. Okay? Okay. Now, go over to the guide. Especially if you're a new hunter. If you are not, though, and you are a more veteran hunter, aka you've played some of the older games, you don't have to. But, go over here, get the Welcome Pack. The Welcome Pack gives you a full Rathalos armor, some Poogie outfits, and the Misk items. This stuff is very, very good, and it is insanely important for early game. Given, unless you want to speed through early game, you don't really need this stuff. Don't need it at all, in fact. That's the crazy part about this part. About this part of it. You don't. You don't need any of this. But it is recommended. Now, rain is a little bit weird given, so let me explain some of the things. Combo shop. So, you go over to your item, you combo something. Let's say I want to combine, I don't know, some honey with a potion. Okay, I made one. Do I want to do it a lot? Yes. Then I go over here, and I can just make a lot of mega potions for the cost of a little bit of zenny. This thing is super, super important to keep in mind. You want to know why? Because mass combining is going to be important for the end game. No, like, seriously, it is going to be important for the end game. Because if you don't mass combine a lot of your stuff, you're going to be running out of it quite a bit. So if you're in HR 1 or 2, the only thing that you have access to is my support, my garden, and my home over at the facilities. I'm sorry if I'm going through this quick, but basically, my garden is not very good and is pretty much useless. And my support, you go over here, is a way for getting stuff. And I am actually not really sure if you get a lot of this. But go over here, and you can change certain things. So, for example, you can call down your hawk. So your hawk is more of a extra dude to help you out. Since this game is an MMO, technically he's kind of grindy, but not really at the exact same time. Hawks are important for multiple things. But for now, especially in HR 4, you don't really need to worry about that. You can change the name of it, and yes, you can hire a cat. Press on hire partner, and then you'll have a cat. But you might be asking, hey, I've already gone on a hunt. Why isn't my cat there? Well, you need to go over to your partner board, go to a company settings, and then just enable them. There you go. Have your cat. The hawks are different in a way. So basically, go over to your skill book, and then you just have a bunch of this stuff. But you might be asking, I just started this game. How the fuck do I get that? Go over to training and do intellect. Speaking of, intellect, what that does is that it buffs the amount of stuff that you can get for points. Or, well, no, sorry. It buffs the way that you get intellect points for your hawk. Intellect points are the ways to get skills for them. Some of the best ones, like some of the best support options in the game, are from hawks. For example, Helper Health. What Helper Health does is that every once in a while, the sacred, or not sacred, the hawk will come down and heal you. If you need to pause the video by this point because you're a little overwhelmed by all this information, you don't have to worry about a lot of this stuff for a while. But I'm only telling you it now because it's important. Well, for some things. There's a lot of things that in this game are very much important. But the companion system, it's kind of fine. So those are 3 companions. One of them comes onto your quest unless you delete them, and so on and so forth. There's a lot to the early game, but pretty much all you need to know is go over to your options, go over to NPC settings, and you can change it to this if you want. If you're doing this game solo, keep FOSTA on. If you're doing this game with people, turn it off. Legendary Rasta you cannot really use right now. Partner is your Palico, and Partner is a customizable dude that you can change. But for now, just keep these 2 on. Partner and Partner, if you want to do it with people. And yes, that does include just having one person, but 1 star. 1 star, especially in the rain patch, isn't all that hard. Velocidrome, Boldrome, Yonkutku, Congalala, Gypsaros, and Rathian aren't really all that hard. But you also might notice some new faces. Tycoon Zamazza, Gogamoa, and, depending on who you are, nobody, apparently. Oh, Hypnocatrace. Sorry, missed them. But Tycoon, Gogamoa, and Hypnocatrace. Some of you might realize that's Hypnocatrace. That's a monster that was like G-rank and high rank exclusive in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. What's up with that? Well, Hypnocatrace was originally introduced in Monster Hunter Frontier. So, boom. But if you're new here, you don't even know like half of these faces, so honestly, don't worry about it. The monsters that are important to progressing over to the next thing are exclusively, and yes, I do kind of mean exclusively, but you can grind for other monsters if you feel like it, but they're exclusively the ones with the little marks up there. You see where it says clear, and then above that is the little mark? Boom. Of course, yours won't say clear, but still. Anyway, this game has so much to it. Like, there's exotic monsters, there's Go monsters, there's fucking Zenith. Like, all of that stuff, you know, all that stuff that's making you stressed out right now to think about? Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. You will worry about that in HR5 and in G rank. For now, you don't worry about that at all. Just complete your urgent quests. You don't even need to do what I said in the My Support stuff. Just complete your urgent quests. Now, they might seem a little bit easier, but it's a bluff. But for now, just complete those. You'll be all good. Now, moving on to the HR2 part of this. And yes, you can pause the video, and you probably should. But moving on to the HR2 part of this, you might have saw something after fighting Abiarugu. Hey, that says Rasta. Or that says, like, I can get a Rasta. What does that mean? Okay, it's pretty simple. Go over to the Rasta bar. In the Rasta bar, there are these people. You can talk to these people and get the weapons that, you know, they have on their backs, and then equip them and let them be able to be used by a customizable hunter. The only two that you cannot use as of this moment are Lila and Cole. Or Cole. Lila and Cole are the only ones that are unavailable, but they're the Tonfa and Switch Axe users. You don't even have access to those yet, but don't worry. You might be asking, what's the recommended one? Well, depending on what you want to go for, there's a lot of recommended ones. Do you want somebody with pure support and basically doesn't attack? You go with her. Do you want somebody who does really, really good status damage? Well, you have two options for that. You go with the Dual Blades Hunter, and yes, that's what those are. Or you go with the Sword and Shield Hunter over here. Now, I would personally recommend just choosing whatever you want, but if you want optimal, those are the three good ones. But if you want good range damage, get Bow. Now I know, some of you might be saying, but Bow isn't as good. I know. But also, it doesn't require a lot of guild GCP. I know, it sounds weird. But still. Longsword is for an in the middle of DPS and also tanking. While Gunlance is probably better at that, I also wouldn't recommend it. Because it knocks you around a bit. But, for early game, it's really, really good, but for late game, it's just kind of mid. Edward, also known as the Lance user, is really, really good for tanking. If you need somebody to have entire aggros on monsters, you go for Edward. Leia is really, really good for just pure great swordage, and so on and so forth. But you might be going, well, how do I get this to my thing? Go over here, press on partner, and then once you do that, you press yes, and then you leave. You go over to your facilities, and you go to your house, where you'll be greeted with another character customization. Well, I can't really show you, but you'll be greeted with the Hunter, another character customization, and then you'll be able to have your own customizable Hunter. Now, don't worry about what kind of armor or weapons that they have on, because you can't really change them right now. And for example, these are two different leveled weapons, and they have the exact same attack. Really, the only thing you should be worrying about is how much sharpness it has, because, yes, they can also bounce. I'll keep you on that greatsword, because why not? And also, yours might not look like this. That's fine. So you've completed HR1, you're on HR2, or maybe just in the middle of HR2. Go over to the general store, go over to books. You can get hunting horn information if you want. Wouldn't recommend it, but you can. And then get Storage Guide Expert. Do not buy it to your box, but get the Storage Guide Expert. Go over here, get the Storage Guide Master, and then you can get these two whenever they're available. Should I get any of the monster books? You don't need to, but if you want to learn lore of the monster, then sure, go right ahead. What are the Book of Combos? Well, Book of Combos make it so that if you're combining in your box, it's less likely to fail. That's it. You could also technically equip them if you're using Gunner and you want to have ammo combination, but don't worry about that. Most of the time, if you're playing a Gunner weapon, you are going to be seeing this ammo thing quite a lot, but, you know. That's what the general store does, at least its basic version. GCP, however, is a currency where you can redeem points, and you can get free items. Not really. Should you use GCP? Yes, comma. Yes, but, comma, you probably shouldn't. GCP is only gathered in quests from how much or how long it takes for you to do a quest. So, I wouldn't recommend it, but there's some quests that you can do that actually can farm you GCP, but that would be boring as fuck. So, if you just want to speed over to G rank, you can do that. But if you want to be more patient, I would recommend the Lao Shan Lung quest. Do some damage, and then just wait. But, yeah. This can get you basic materials like Capture Expert Fruit, which gives you Capture Expert. If you paintball the monster, it makes it so that you can see if they're low or not. And then you can get all of these, you can get life powders, you can get high-grade earplugs, and you can also get nullberries. Don't get nullberries, because you can just buy them. Not here. You can just buy nullberries, so don't do that. Now, if you haven't already, look at your Hunter's Navi, and look at a few of the stuff. Your Hunter's Navi is super, super important. Sometimes just looking at something, for example, if I just look at, like, this, then it'll explain to you what this does. I mainly recommend this for item gathering, but you don't really have to. Because you can see, it just explains everything. But there's that. So, now, I would just recommend getting over to HR3 and start thinking about what kind of sets you want to make. Start making actually good sets. Or, you could do a certain thing. I wouldn't recommend this, but you could upgrade your Rathalos armor. So, there's that. Or you could do something else and just make yourself your own set. And now we are on to the important armor part, halfway through the video. Now, you've already been here for weapons, of course, but you want to know what's really, really important? The fact that your armor is weird. This game is based off of Monster Hunter DOS, and it's an MMO, so you gotta understand that leveling up your gear can also make it into subspecies gear. For example, if I were to level up, let's say, this Rathalos helmet for a while. Actually, I could probably do that right now. This is basically just for the sake of getting it done, and also showing you how it works. But, this. So, here we go. This is how it works. You got the basic upgrade, you got the Azure Rathalos upgrade, you got the high rank Rathalos upgrade, and then you got the Silver Rathalos upgrade. All of these have different skills. The best thing to keep in mind, especially with this game, if a monster has a subspecies and you want the set, make the set of the non-subspecies monster. Obviously, but still. A very good example of that is that if you want a good set with, like, Divine Protection and Handicraft, I would actually recommend the Silver Rathalos set. Yes, it needs a Wyvern Stone, but honestly, if you're willing to grind this game, and you've gotten to this point now, you'd be willing to do that. Now, of course, it'll slowly change over time, but don't make that just random thing. Or don't make that just random helmet. But, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it outside of don't make that random helmet if you don't think it's going to be important. But, I don't know. But this is the way that armor works in this game. And it's really, really weird, but it's just kind of like how items work, or how weapons work. So, my personal favorite for high-rank armor would rather just be level up the Rathalos gear if you like Rathalos, or just find a set that you think looks cool, look at what it has, and then debate on if you actually want to farm it or not. Let's look at the Garuga set for an example. The Garuga set has Uh, here it is. The Garuga set, depending on what armor set you're using, has Guard, Expert, -3 hearing, or handicraft, yeah, -3 gathering, and +2 hearing. But if you're using the cap, it has Expert, Attack, Adrenaline, and Precision. Now you're not just gonna get a single anything with just this alone, unless you somehow figure it out, but instead you might actually have to make the full set to get all the points. And also, you might be wondering, there's negative skills in this game? Yeah, that -30 dragon resistance is not just the Rathalos stuff. You actually have to worry about that type of thing. A really good recommended set, in my opinion, is not the Garuga set, but instead a low-rank Elder Dragon set. Because of course this game has that. So, depending on what you want to go for, I'd recommend the Kushala for if you just want to do a guard-based lance build, or even just a gun lance build. And I'd recommend this if you want to do a pierce build. Or I'd recommend the gunner armor if you want to use pierce build. Mizu if you want to be more of a support type of thing, just in general. The Empress armor I would actually recommend for just pure tank builds that aren't using things like, for a good example, lance or gun lance. And then the gunner I would probably recommend for a status bow gunner. The Rajang armor, also known as this. No, actually, this is the Shen-Garen armor. My bad. The Shen-Garen armor is tanky. It is just pure tanky. Basically, guarding for if you're playing Lance, Psychic so that you can see where the monster is, Hearing so that you can, well, have earplugs. Everlasting is how long, is like item duration and stuff, and Quake Res is preventing you from getting tremored, which is always nice. And then this is just a Krag, the Krag ammo type of build. The Kaiser set is clust ammo for the bowguns, and then I would probably say that this is more of a bomber build. For example, if you want to use like sleep bombs or something, but you know. The Yamasukami armor, don't know why you'd grind for that, is also super tanky, but also has gathering speed, which is always nice, and divine protection, and also good luck. So basically, good luck makes it so that you have the chance of getting more and rarer items, and there's no real downside outside of having to get the Fate skill. And then this is just a good normal auto-reload build for the Yama armor. And then Rajang is pure attack. Well, it's pure attack on the non-gunner build, but on the gunner build, it's mainly ammo and precision with some reload. Rajang isn't really all that good, but, you know. And if you don't want to do that because you think it's lame, again, just find a monster that you think looks cool, and then if you like its armor set, or if it's any good for you, then, of course, feel free to add it, and feel free to farm for it. Now, a lot of equipment, like the Raviente armor, might be kind of an enigma to some of you. The Raviente armor is interesting, because Raviente is a raid boss. Raviente, you have to do with multiple people, and you can't just do it alone. I mean, unless you have G-rank gear. Well, Violent Raviente, wouldn't worry about that set at all. I would not recommend grinding for the Raviente armor even with endpoints. It's saying a lot, because endpoints are broken, and I'll explain how they work here in a second. Step building, especially in this game, is important as hell. I mean, like, it's just super, super important. Now, what armor would I recommend for, let's say, a tank build that wants to... I don't fucking know. Let's say you're a tank build. You're a tank build that doesn't want to have to farm Kushala, Shengaren, or I, I don't remember who I recommend. Yamasukami. You don't want to farm for them at all. That's okay. There's other alternatives for that, actually. A good alternative for a tank build in general, how about we just look, could be... Hold on. Hold on a little bit. The Espionage gear, which at low health, which is what Adrenaline does, basically just makes you do more damage, fear defense, and poison resistance, with some sleep negative. Or the Akira Vishimu set, which is guarding, recovery, speed, sharpness, and everlasting, or negative everlasting. But, I don't really want to farm Akira Vishimu. That's fine. There are actually some really, really interesting tank builds that you could do. So, take a look at that. Ursapusu. Guard, attack, negative fire resistance, but stamina. Okay. And if you don't like any of these monsters, that's completely fair too. Just play however you feel like playing. Now let's say you're a pure, speedy DPS god that like really, really likes having evasion, but doesn't want to do the Rajang set. Well, you could do a mix set. You could do Gogamoa, who has hearing, evasion, and whatever other skill. And you could do a mixed set of Gogamoa and, I don't know, whatever other armor piece would go with hearing and sharpness. And boom, you have a set that's pretty good at that. Again, if you have any questions, just ask. But there's a lot, and I mean a lot of, like, set building properties, or, well, properties, I guess, is not really the best word for it. But a lot of set building things that you could do in this game. Now, the set building, I probably wouldn't worry about for a while. I wouldn't worry about it at least until HR4, which we're going to get to, but, you know. With HR3, you don't really unlock anything, but you are in high rank, and after doing Espionage, that is kind of obvious. So, personally, would I recommend something new? Yes, actually. I would recommend something new, set-wise and weapon-wise. Or you could just level up the weapon that you have currently, that they've been using, and then buff it a bunch. I know that's not a very good, you know, piece of advice, but this game is an MMO. It's all about the walk. It's all about walking towards your destination, not sprinting. So, I know you technically unlocked this in HR2, but I wanted to explain it in HR3. The caravan mechanic. So now you can go over here, enter here. Welcome to the caravan. The caravan is very, very weird. Walk by the boss, she'll talk to you, and then boom. So, what is the caravan, you might be asking? The caravan, over here, is a set of quests that you can do for caravan points. Caravan points, or CP, I don't like using that word, but caravan points are pretty much only used for the special workshop, also known as, well, this, and some other stuff. So now that you have your thing, go to your gem color, go to rainbow, because it's the rain server, it's free. Now, what does the caravan do? For now, all it does is that it makes it so that you can hire your caravan. What that does is that it, you know, buffs a certain color depending on who you're fighting. Or, you know, heightens a certain color depending on who you're fighting. You don't have to worry about the semantics, but try and keep it rainbow. And you can upgrade it for general passive skills. Cool. You can also use it at the special item shop. The special item shop, at least in the Rain server, is quite cheap, so that's good. But a lot of these are like, you can bring a map with you, you can bring a pitfall that also explodes, you can get pickaxes and bug nets that break less often, you can get a potion set, which will give you quite a lot. You can also get terrain powder, and just so much more. Realistically, you are not going to be using this unless you are getting the antidote powder for one specific quest. Outside of that, all of this is just not really anything. For now, the caravan is really just do a quest, get some caravan points, or do Raviente, and then, you know, go crazy. But later on, it might be important. So, for example, if I go over to the changing room, and don't worry about the camera, that's just me fucking around with it. If you go over to the changing room, you can actually go to caravan skills. These you can change, and so much more. For example, recovery items up makes me take more healing. Courage makes sure that I don't flinch whenever a monster notices me. And Vine Superhero makes it so that while I'm climbing up vines, I am less likely to lose stamina. Which is always nice. For now, though, until, like, maybe G rank, don't even worry about the caravan. It's really just something to be there, honestly, and for Raviente. Wow, a lot of new players are playing this. Man, I wonder why. But, you know. So far, nothing is really new. Now, progress through HR3, and get to HR4. Now that you're in HR4, you have access to the Mytor. What the Mytor is your Poogie. I can actually explain this one, but if you go into this, there will be a lady who will talk to you. You talk to that lady, and then she'll decide on what kind of person to give to you. For example, I have Anne, and most of her stuff is actually translated as of this update, and you can get points. What these points are for is so that you can give them to your Poogie. For example, if you can add a Poogie, and so much more. But what this Poogie is for skill cuffs. Skill cuffs, do not worry about them. Throw them out the window as of now. Skill cuffs, at the very, very basics, are something that you can equip onto your Poogie as long as they have premium armor. And they kind of just give you little points for skills, and sometimes entire skills if you get lucky enough. But for now, you really don't need to worry about that. Pretty much just get points whenever you're done doing a hunt, or if it's your daily. You might be wondering what these cats are? Don't worry about those either, because those require even more points. Your tour is expanded, and more stuff is done. So, in HR4, what else do you unlock? Fatalis. No, like, seriously, if you look at your quest, or if you look at your quests, go all the way down here, you have a Fatalis, a Cantor, and also all of the Elder Dragons, and also the rare species unlocked, basically. Yeah. It just kind of be like that sometimes. Also, for your tank players out there, Ursapusu is unlocked. So, that's nice. So, that is the very, 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 very basics of Monster Hunter Frontier. Now, this is not really going into set building, which I will, in fact, explain later. In fact, I might end up having an entire video on set building, because I like making sets, if you couldn't tell. But basically all you need to know is that your active skills are the most important, your automatic skills will not happen, your special effects will not happen for a while. Just focus on the automatic skills. If you have any questions, if you don't know what a certain thing does, I'll explain it in I'll explain it in the comments. Anyway, sorry for the long unedited video, but I legitimately just wanted to make a quick video for this, so, you know. I hope everybody has an absolutely fantastic day, and I'll be seeing you next time. Bye-bye! Bye-bye! And again, if you have any questions, just ask me in the comments.